English, as an international language, is the most frequently used language. English is also used as a language for business and trade between countries. This makes English language skills indispensable for various types of work. So, many of them end up majoring in English education. In English education, it is not only taught about language, you will also be taught how to teach English. So not only will you master language, but you will also have the ability to become an English teacher. However, do you know what the job prospect of English education are? English teacher. Since this English education, of course, you can become an English teacher. With the teaching skills you learn, you can teach according to the class or a level that you are good at. English teacher can not only teach in formal schools, but also in English courses. Translator. This job must be familiar to your ears. A translator can help in many areas, especially businesses that usually establish relationships with foreign companies. These responsibilities will be translating documents and other company needs. A translator can also create a translation service and work alone. With the skills of an English language education, translator can accept jobs from clients. Usually when you open a service like this, the variety of translated documents can vary, starting from formal documents to book scripts. You can go to national or international conferences and translate the language of important people from other countries into Indonesian. Is it cool, right?
Tour guide. Tour guides are responsible for accompanying tourists and providing direction and guidance to tourists. Well, because visitors to tourist attractions are diverse, there are local tourists and there are also foreign tourists. The tour guide must master foreign language, especially English. Another requirement that must be met to become a tour guide is to have deep and broad insight. These two things are important so that the tour guide can explain to tourists. This profession is perfect for those of you who like to travel. When else do you work while running a hobby? It's definitely going to be an enjoyable experience, is not it?
Editor. Editor is the backbone of a successful book publishing industry. In fact, through his cool hands, editors can produce cool books that jumpstart the author's name. He also plays a role in discovering and developing the talent of writers. The editor is responsible for the overall editing function of a manuscript in a publishing company or media. On a daily basis, his job is to find, improve, and publish supporting text and images. No wonder his creativity is needed to ensure that the readers are happy and comfortable reading books. An equally important task is to ensure that only quality books flow to market. Editors must also have reliable diplomatic skills, especially when dealing with famous writers or from academics who have a series of degrees. Editors are required to be able to position themselves as more than just editors of words, but also as consultants for writers.
Journalist. A journalist, or also known as a journalist, is a term for someone who carries out journalistic activities such as writing, analyzing, and reporting an event to the public through the mass media on a regular basis. Journalistic activities are carried out in various mass media such as newspaper, magazines, radio, television, as well as online media. Journalists are often considered a representative of the community voice regarding various events that exist and occur in society. In the production of a new report, editors are also involved who check the contents of the content to maintain the quality of the report.
Writer. The writer or the author is a creative actor who creates unwritten work in the form of fiction, such as novels, short stories, poetry, and nonfiction, such as scientific works, papers, journals, articles. The works created by the author usually represent his ideas, thoughts, and feelings. The author's field of work is not only limited to books and texts. There are also writers who are involved in writing the screenplay for advertisements. Now, writers who work in the advertising industry are usually members of the creative and scriptwriter division. The screenwriters are tasked with writing advertising scripts so that the message to be conveyed through a product can be understood by the audience.
Diplomat staff. Diplomat profession is someone who is appointed by a country to carry out diplomacy with several countries as well as in international organizations. The definition of a diplomat is someone who involved in the administration of official communications between one country and another. Minister of Foreign Affairs, ambassador, and other diplomatic officials are included in diplomats. Negotiation and persuasion techniques certainly need to be mastered by a diplomat so that the negotiation process between countries can run well and produce favorable decisions for the country represented. Interpreter. Interpreter or interpret is another name for the oral translator profession. An interpreter, an expert in translating orally but simultaneously and consecutively, which is usually found on the occasion of international meeting and so on. The interpreter must focus on the meaning of the choice of word used. In addition to translating the content of the conversation, the interpreter is required to find out the theme of the conversation to participant profile before carrying out the task. Generally, interpreters are people who are culturally literate and have broad insight. The interpreter must be neutral, must not add or subtract meaning with his own interpretation. Thus, the interpreter is required to convey precisely and correctly, including the implied idea of the content of the conversation. Usually, the interpreter only has little time and opportunity to correct the conversation. Interpreting has an immediate nature, in contrast to translating, which is not immediately, so you have time to open the dictionary and look for equivalent word. So, by becoming an interpreter, you become a communication bridge for two people who speak in two different languages.